are on camera. So, Miss Jan Rain, you are a powerful activist. Why did you choose the bomb train issue to take the lead on that for Sacramento?
Because, frankly, I'm terrified.
Terrified of what?
Well, I'm terrified of the specter, the direct threat, which is actually, it's not a future threat, it's happening right now. But before we're done, as the oil production surge escalates, what's happening is we can expect to see 5 to 7 mile-long trains. I call them death trains, each carrying 100 flimsy tankers full of very flammable crude oil coming through neighborhoods and cities throughout California, and certainly Sacramento is directly impacted because we have these trains coming down through East Sacramento along Sutter's Park, and you know, you could get on the tracks and hit a home run, and you would hit houses from the tracks. So, and about a year ago in Lake Megantic, Quebec, one of these oil trains exploded. It sent a fireball, a huge fireball, 3 football fields lengths worth into the air. It incinerated 47 people, including children, and took out most of the downtown of Lake Megantic. So, and since then there's been 13 accidents since, and I think at least 4 or 5 of them involved explosions, fires, and oil spills. So,
all across the nation.
Yeah, across the nation, yes.
And some people are saying, like I know Scott Smith, he's a geologist who works on this, that it's as we dig further down, the quality of the oil and the shales are becoming less, and so they're more vapor, and so they have a tendency to explode more, and that a lot of the derailments we're seeing maybe aren't derailments, they're maybe explosions first, and then they're off the trail, but they just pass them off as derailments because then they'd have to tell the public that this concoction is more explosive these days.
Absolutely,
the composition.
more explosive.
So what are the immediate dangers to Sacramento? How many of these trains are coming through a day, do we project?
Well, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 trains a week, but that's why they're rushing to build all these...
the infrastructure in the Bay Area.
Yes, they're trying to build all these refineries on the coast, and we should help people stop that, because of course the less refineries, the less trains we'll get. But within a year or so, I mean, we'll be seeing, you know, 5, you know, anywhere from, I'm just picking the numbers, but you know, 2 to 5 trains per day, if this keeps up, coming through our neighborhoods. And in Sacramento alone, the people living within a mile of these rail lines, there will be 392,000 people who are in danger, those who live within a mile. And of course, in this tinderbox dry spell, major drought we're having, you can expect that those fires could, you know, go like crazy and, you know, practically consume the whole city. And you know, when you have a 3 football field fireball, no emergency crew is going to be able to get in there and do anything, because it would just be too dangerous to send them in. What do you do with the fireball 3 football fields high in the air? You run.
Isn't it crazy? We could just go 100% renewable by 2050.
Right.
Or even earlier than that, if we could just put an infusion of cash in. The governor has put 20 million, signed into legislation in 2009, a bill that gives 20 million a year to the hydrogen industry. And so far they've only built 9 fueling stations with that money. How many rooftops and how many cars could we convert with that 20 million a year? Governor Brown, see, have you got a message for Governor Brown?
Well, the presentation that preceded mine, it was pointed out that Governor Brown is a big oil guy and gets a lot of his money from the oil industry. And I know Governor Brown is very popular and he's done some good things, but on this issue, he's AWOL. And I mean, it really is an incredible danger to the state, because statewide, people just living within a mile of the trains, that would be 5,800,000 people. I mean, how are politicians going to look when, you know, these things start exploding?
Right, and when we start piping our water and our fuel, and look what happened at UCLA the other day, like, it was like 7 million gallons of water just in the streets, and,
right.
And all of our fuel, and that fellow mentioned the San Bruno natural gas pipeline. It just blew up an entire neighborhood.
Right.
And people think we can just pipe it around.
Right.
So better to live sustainably.
Right. So my message is, people, wake up. You're in very great danger. I mean, if some bully came and threatened to destroy your home and kill you and your precious children, you'd stop at nothing. Well, this is just such a danger on a huge scale. These people are playing Russian roulette with our lives and our safety, and it's absolutely insane. But our legal structure is set up so that communities can't defend themselves adequately. It's corporate constitutional rights, the doctrine of preemption. But I do think there's things we can do within the legal system, but it's going to take a huge campaign with tons of volunteers to do it. But also we may have to go outside the legal system. We do have to get any cessation of the constant assaults on human beings and communities and ecosystems. We have to change the legal structure, which is going to mean eliminating corporate constitutional rights. And I'm not just talking about the First Amendment, I'm talking about the Takings Clause, the Equal Protection Clause,
the Disclosure Act that Dorothy Nable's working on.
That's not a constitutional thing, but it would be very important to see where this big money is coming from, because right now they can successfully hide it. And but people are completely unsuspecting about this crude oil threat. But ultimately, we have to change the legal structure. And I gave a presentation that I would love to give to anybody that will let me talk about the legalities of this, what the statutes say. The state legislature seems to assume it's barred by the doctrine of preemption. I don't think so. I mean, all they're doing is taking steps to deal with a disaster after it occurs, by way of emergency response. But they say they can't do anything to prevent the thing from happening in the first place, which could kill, you know, thousands and thousands of people, because they say they're stopped by the doctrine of preemption. But I read the founding statute for the Federal Railroads Safety Act, and I looked at the preemption section, and I think it's got exceptions in there that let the state act, notwithstanding the federal government, under certain circumstances. And I think we need to explore those circumstances and educate the state legislature that they're not necessarily barred, and that it's at least worth a try to, you know, bring this to the public's attention and educate them, and also put pressure on the federal government to do something quick.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Do you have any contact information for people to give out?
Yes, I do. Actually, I can give it to you. I've got it written down that I was going to pass out. And of course, they know how to get a hold of Sacramento City Council, which also is doing nothing to prevent it as far as I can see. Davis and other cities have passed resolutions opposing